I can't believe just a few weeks after watching 2001's Planet of the Apes and its ending that made no sense, I'm already seeing a confusing ending again. The 2023 film, Don't Turn Out the Lights, is a horror film about a group of friends traveling to a music festival in an RV and breaking down in the middle of nowhere. Broken down in the sticks, the group begins to disappear or be killed one by one. As the film concludes, the audience is left with a ton of questions in this movie that had a number of weaknesses. In this review, we'll discuss these and probably what happened at the end. Now, the first thing I want to point out is what happens in the beginning of this movie. There's a young girl who interacts with Carrie. The girl appears strange and soon seems to vanish from the sight. Now, like most things, this didn't tie well into the movie. The group doesn't seem to be already dead, as we saw the RV by the side of the road later in the film, and that seems to imply they were killed sometime on the road. So I'm guessing the little girl might have been an evil presence. Still, I'm not 100% sure. If you know, definitely chime in the comments. The second thing I have to point out in this movie was that the acting was pretty horrific. There's such a noticeable difference when you watch household name actors or just character actors we know and actresses, and then compare them against the actors and actresses in a film like this. Often the actors and actresses in this movie overacted, and many of them struggled big time in some of the critical scenes. This was very apparent early on in the film, and it felt like much of the dialogue was very unnatural. That said, usually in a horror movie like this, I can overlook bad acting as the story and entertainment can keep me engaged. I don't think that acting is as critical in the horror genre as it is in other genres. And for the most part, I thought this story was pretty good. I would have liked to see them break down a little bit earlier in the movie, and I thought that the film went about 15 to 30 minutes too long. And still, the setup was pretty good in this movie. We've seen this type of story before. A bunch of young kids get in the car, they go on a road trip, and then they start getting slaughtered, or they go somewhere and they get slaughtered, or they run into a paranormal situation or house. Now, one thing I have to call out real quick in this film is Hollywood continues to push this narrative around white guys and truckers as all being these racist, evil rednecks. And I get so annoyed seeing this narrative in these movies that anytime a minority drives into a small town, they're going to be refused service or discriminated against because, well, all small town folks are just like that. And the fact is, I travel a lot, and it's really the complete opposite. If you break down in a small town, you are much more likely to get help than if you break down in the city. If you break down in the city, you're pretty much going to be screwed. Now, anyway, back to the movie. As the RV breaks down and we see two of the guys get out of the RV and are killed or disappear, we see two of the guys get out and they disappear from sight. Stoner Chris passes out, and after the birthday girl dies too. The girls in the van decide to discuss what could be actually happening. Is this a prank? Is it aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot? Eventually, they discover the owner of the van had a bunch of demonology books, and the girls think that's what could be happening. Now, we, the audience, we are waiting and waiting for the answer for this, but we never get it. And in the end, we know everyone is killed, but what did it is still unbeknownst to us. Now, I really think the writers dropped the ball here. They had a couple twists they could have ran with that would have been good. For example, of the last two girls, they could have had one of them be involved in Satanism. Maybe she was leading all of them out there to be part of some sort of sacrifice. That would have been a good storyline. There's some other routes they could have gone to. Another option is they could have gone the prank route. In the final scene, they could have had the two girls fighting, and then maybe one of them kill each other. Everyone could have came out waiting for a good laugh, only to horrifically discover the corpse of one of their friends. And there was a movie I saw a little bit while back. It wasn't a horror movie. It was on Amazon. This young girl runs away and the parents start freaking out about it. The other girl knows she's still alive. She doesn't say anything. And then eventually one of the dads ends up killing the other girl, the other dad. And then at the end, the girl actually comes out and they're just, horrified to know what happens. I can't remember the name of the movie, but it's pretty good. It's on Amazon. So there's so many options the writers could have taken, but instead they went for the home run and really fell flat on their face on this, just being a confusing movie. I will say that this movie is watchable. It had a few too many jump scares for me, and endings that are open to interpretation, they can be done and they can land very well, but in this case, it clearly didn't work.